It's Saturday night. A game is on. You pick up your phone just to check the score. But before you even see it, there's a notification. Boosted odds, limited time. You ignore it at first. Then the game slows down. Nothing's happening. So you tap. Just one small bet. Just to make the game a little more interesting. A few minutes later, you check again. Another offer. Better odds this time. You place another. Then another. And without realizing it, you stop watching the game. You start watching your bets. Tracking outcomes. Watching the clock. Waiting for the next moment. And somewhere along the way, the game stopped being the main event. You did. Because you didn't just open an app. You stepped into a casino. And the most dangerous part? You didn't even notice. Apps like DraftKings and FanDuel didn't just make betting easier. They quietly redesigned what it means to be a sports fan. This is not just a story about gambling. It's a story about design, psychology, and a system built to keep people playing. Welcome to the digital casino. For decades, sports betting existed at the edges of sports culture. It was separate from the game. You had to go somewhere, make a decision, cross a line. There was friction, and that friction mattered because it forced awareness. You knew when you were gambling. Then, in 2018, that separation started to disappear. As regulations loosened, betting companies saw an opportunity that was much bigger than gambling itself. They didn't just want people placing bets. They wanted betting to become part of the experience of watching sports. And slowly, that's exactly what happened. Watching a game used to be passive. You picked a team. You reacted. You celebrated. You got frustrated. Now every moment asks something from you. Who scores next? Will there be a foul in the next 2 minutes? Will this drive end in a touchdown? You're not just watching anymore. You're constantly deciding. And the moment money enters the experience, the emotional intensity changes completely. A boring game suddenly feels exciting. A losing match still feels hopeful because your bet might survive. Every second becomes meaningful. That's not accidental. That's engineered. And once you notice it, you start seeing the same pattern everywhere. Because sports betting apps didn't invent this system. They borrowed it from social media. Platforms like TikTok and Instagram perfected the art of capturing attention. Infinite scroll, personalized recommendations, notifications timed to pull you back in, systems that study your behavior and learn what keeps you engaged. Now apply that model to gambling. Instead of videos, the feed is filled with bets. Instead of likes, the reward is money. But the structure is almost identical. You open the app, and there's always something waiting for you. A new offer, a boosted odd, a live opportunity, something designed to keep you from closing the app. Because the goal isn't satisfaction, it's continuation. The longer you stay, the more likely you are to play. And over time, the app begins learning who you are. Every bet you place, every team you follow, every moment you hesitate, every loss you chase, all of it feeds into a system that constantly adapts around your behavior. Lose a bet? You might get a risk-free offer. Stop opening the app? A notification appears. Your favorite team is about to play? The app reminds you at exactly the right moment. This isn't random. It's behavioral targeting. The same intelligence that decides what appears on your social media feed is now deciding what appears on your betting screen. And that changes the relationship completely. Because the platform is no longer just reacting to your behavior. It's shaping it. One of the most effective tools in this system is something called the near miss. You place a bet. You get 4 out of 5 predictions right. You lose. But it doesn't feel like losing. It feels like being close. Close enough to feel smart. Close enough to believe you almost figured it out. And that feeling is incredibly powerful because your brain processes it as progress, not failure. You were almost there, so you try again, and again, and again. The digital casino doesn't just rely on wins. It relies on almost wins. That's what keeps people emotionally attached to the process. Then there's unpredictability. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but you never know when the next win is coming. That uncertainty creates anticipation, and anticipation keeps people engaged. It's the same psychological mechanism used in slot machines, except here it feels different because it's wrapped in sports knowledge. You're analyzing players, studying statistics, following injuries, making smart predictions, which creates a powerful illusion that this is skill, not gambling. But the system doesn't need you to lose every time. It just needs you to keep playing. And nowhere is that more visible than in the parlay. If there's one feature that defines the digital casino, it's this. Parlays are presented as intelligent bets, strategic bets, the kind of bets made by people who understand the game. You combine multiple predictions into one ticket. If everything goes right, the payout is massive. But if even one prediction fails, you lose everything. And that's where things become interesting. Because what feels like intelligence is often just complexity. Every extra prediction dramatically increases the difficulty, which means the bets that feel the most exciting, the most sophisticated, are often the most profitable for the platform. Confidence becomes revenue. And the deeper the confidence, the deeper the engagement. At this point, it's worth asking a more uncomfortable question. What is this system actually designed to do? At first glance, the answer seems obvious. Make money. But it goes deeper than that. Because the system isn't simply optimizing for profit. It's optimizing for behavior, time spent, frequency of bets, emotional engagement, return visits. And like most digital platforms, the revenue isn't evenly distributed. A small percentage of users generate most of the money. These users are often referred to as high-value players, but that phrase hides something important. Because these aren't always the happiest customers. They're often the people struggling the most. People are betting more frequently, chasing losses, responding emotionally. And the system knows exactly who they are. Because everything is tracked. Patterns become predictable. Behaviors become measurable. And once someone falls into that category, the platform doesn't slow down. It leans in. More notifications, more incentives, more reasons to stay. This isn't a side effect. It's the business model. And that's where the line between entertainment and extraction starts to blur. Because when a platform becomes most profitable from the people least able to stop using it, what exactly is it becoming? That might be the most important question in this entire story. Because the most successful casino is the one you don't recognize as a casino. And today, gambling doesn't feel separate from sports culture anymore. It is sports culture. Odds are discussed during live broadcasts. Influencers promote betting picks. Friends compare parlays the same way they used to compare scores. For younger audiences, this feels completely normal. They didn't watch betting merge with sports. They grew up in a world where the two were already connected. And when something becomes normalized, it stops feeling like a choice. It starts feeling inevitable. That's the real transformation. Not legalization, not technology, normalization. The digital casino didn't force itself into sports. It dissolved the boundary. And once the boundary disappeared, the behavior changed with it. So the next time you open a betting app, pause for a second. not to stop, just to notice. Notice how seamlessly it pulls you in. Notice how natural it feels. Notice how difficult it is to leave. Because the most powerful systems don't rely on force. They rely on design. They guide behavior quietly, predictably, profitably. And once you start seeing that here, you begin seeing it everywhere else too. Because this isn't just about sports betting. It's a blueprint, a model for how modern platforms capture attention, shape behavior, and turn engagement into revenue. And in that system, the real game isn't happening on the field. It's happening around you. So the real question isn't whether you're winning or losing. It's whether you even realize what game you're playing in the first place. And if you want more breakdowns about the hidden systems shaping your attention, your behavior, and your decisions, subscribe to BizCase Academy. Because once you see the system, you can't unsee it.